No. Summer house. Y'all, I'm back here. It's Poods here. I'm back. It's Reality Gaze, of course. I'm back with my friend and yours, straight man who should be gay for everything he covers. Ryan Bailey from So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. Yay!
I'm not. By the way, I'm not proud that I'm straight. I'm not a.
You should.
I'm not a proud straight man. I just want to let everybody.
Letting you on this show. I'm just gonna say this. I was thinking about this as on the show called Reality Gaze. There's been a straight man, Kyle and Kim. There's been Mary Payne, who she could go either way, really. She is a straight woman, but come on.
Yeah.
She wouldn't flinch if she saw some gay sex. She might clutch her pearls. But and then we have Ryan, who fits, like, checks every box that a gay man would want.
You think I'm even confused why I'm not gay? Believe me, I would. And by the way, if anybody ever, like, I've had this on my DMs a lot too, of like, listen, girl, like, or like a girl will be like, just between us girls, and like, so I do get talked a lot. I do get talked like I'm a gay man, and like, which is totally. By the way, my best friend, like, that is a huge compliment for me. There's
like,
nothing.
My friend is gay. My father's gay.
Show me your boobs. How do you like that? Yeah, no, but it's really, because a lot of these shows are really like, they are women and gays, gay man shows, and gay men and women shows. Like, these shows belong to them, but these are always the shows from day one that I've loved. And I couldn't tell you exactly, but finally I found like an outlet through podcasting to be able to talk. And there's so many great people that like them too. But I was watching this 16 years ago, and I was married at the time, and my wife didn't want to watch it with me. Right. I was watching this by myself.
It was something you might as well be in the lifestyle, except for dick sucking, which is totally fine. You know, we'll allow you to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your gay venue with me. Yes.
You know what? You may, as long as you can get in there and do some snaps. And if I ask who's got the biggest dick in the summer house, you immediately have an answer and
Sierra,
don't blink. Sierra.
Well, and he just FYI, before we started recording, he told me to gay it up a little bit. I don't know what that means. Yeah. That was offensive.
Well, I did say, like Jake from Below Deck, hopefully you can wear a thong this episode.
But how do you know I'm not? You can only see me from the but I feel like I'm glued to my bed. Like, I've got like such a podcaster's body now. Like, it's like, this isn't doing. Like, I'm not in, let's just say I'm not in the greatest shape of my life through podcasting.
None of us are. I have tried during the pandemic to kind of, and I, to an extent, I've tried to stay active. But like, the only way I've found to do that is by forcing myself to invest in things that I hear my mother's voice, God, you spent all that money, Jay Bird, you might as well use it. So it's only through guilt and signing up for things that I don't really want to do, like Pilates classes, or I've got with a trainer, and I told my trainer, if I try to cancel on you, ask me the reason. And if I say, if my reason sounds like made up, and if I argue with you one time, you get your ass up here and I'll see you.
I really am of that nature. Like, if I sign up for an exercise class, that's all you need. Like, that, it gives me it makes me feel good. Like, I feel like I did something. Like, I don't want the actual class. I want to get to the point where I feel like, you know what, I'm going to do it this time. Like, the class is neither here nor there. It's just the signing up. That's the hard part.
That's the hardest part. But I will say, and I'm not someone, and I got a Peloton this past year, like everyone. And I was someone who didn't love, I like exercise as soon as I'm done with it. But my trainer once called me, you're almost an athlete now. And I was like, oh my God, did you just call me an athlete? Oh my God, I'm an athlete. And my trainer's like, I didn't say you were an athlete. I was like, fine, I'm going to hear athlete.
Yeah, my roommate has a Peloton, and like I do the classes, but like, you're right. It's like afterwards, I'm really happy with myself. But during, like, I flat out like curse out Jess King. I'll be like, shut up, shut up. Like, I'm like, stop it. Stop with the smile. Why are you looking at me like that?
It's not that I don't like her. I find it hard because she makes me work so hard and it looks so easy for her.
Oh, they're
And
not even breaking a sweat. And Cody
yeah,
Rigsby has like a full-on vagina monologue the whole time. Like, he talks the whole time.
he
And
does.
I'm like, I can't even catch my breath half the time.
You have to get used to Cody Rigsby talking. He's not always my first choice, but if I'm going to have fun, I'll choose him. Because I love usually we talked about my pilot for Salt Wives in the last episode.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I love women who are most of the time over 40, 50s-ish women. I love Christine Dercole. She's my favorite.
Is that the one with the really muscular thighs?
Yes.
Yeah, she always tells you these aren't dancer thighs, or like she'll always be like,
Yeah.
I had her the other day, and I like her because she's a little. She's like I said, she scares me a little like the actress we were just talking about,
Frances McDormand.
McDormand. But like she does like kind of sometimes look at me and I get scared.
She looks right through you. Yeah, that's why I like her. It's something about her. She's a bike racer, and she looked at me one time, and I was like having a hard time, and she looked right in the screen and went, "What if you can?" And I went, "Oh God, what if I can?" But exercise. I've had an uneasy relationship with exercise my whole life because it's gym class. I was the little boy who couldn't do anything because I wasn't coordinated enough. I'm like, put me in music class where I can do good for all things.
Yeah. I did show choir. That was like my exercise.
Of course you did. God, fag.
I love doing. By the way, show choir was always so stupid because you do like Stevie Wonder, like very superstitious, riding on the wall. Like it was always the whitest thing you've ever. And we would like just ruin poor Stevie Wonder's
13-month-old baby.
I love it.
Yeah, show choirs don't do songs with the lyric. Is it 13-month-old baby? I feel like.
Yeah, that's our Billie Jean, not my lover.
She's just a kid. Matt has gone on extensively about his show choir experiences.
It was called Step on Stage. I have a sparkly blue tie and cummerbund, and I used to think like sophomore year of high school, I was like, I'm pretty badass, and I was like, no, I wasn't. You know,
what percentage of those boys have gone on to become interior designers since then?
Well, my one friend Brian, who he came out after college, and he's now like a musical theater person. He does like Broadway play, like musicals and stuff, and like it was wild. Like it was really that whole crew. Like I saw so many people come out through the course of my high school experience being in the theater department and the show choir, and it was like I was just like, once again though, I was always just happy to be around. You know,
you're like, when's it my turn?
Yeah, I was like,
am I never going to be special?
God, why don't I love dicks? You know.
You know what? I will say it's an acquired taste, but once you get there, once you get there, it's kind of hard to give up.
You think it's like there's like a gateway drug element? Like if you start smoking crack, like you're gonna love it.
When the first time you think about it, when you're kind of like looking, the first of all, it's obviously as a boy, you're not ever thinking you're gonna go through life sucking dicks. But there's one moment where the guy first takes his pants off and you're kind of eyeing it. How do I do this? How do I? But then after a while, you just take to it like a horse. It's just, you just get on, and you and the horse know what to do. And you and the dick are just communicating.
Oh my God. So it's like a foreign language that the more you put into it, the more
you and the dick only speak. Yeah, it's like parcel tongue.
I was talking about losing my virginity on the pod the other day, and it's obviously it was in the back of a Chevrolet, and
all of them should be. Yes,
I mean that's kind of why you get one, but classic. It was like it's still to the like I remember going into it like knowing, like, I'm not an idiot. I know that this thing goes in a hole, but
Yeah.
still, like, it's still like, I was like, but how, like, what? Like,
No.
if you've never done it, you're like, but how is it gonna, like, what if you just don't understand that. And then it's there and it's fine. But then I remember after that first time, I like, all of a sudden I like forgot again. I was like, oh my God, I didn't really clock what I was doing. Like, I didn't really clock what I was doing. I didn't write anything down.
Write the steps down.
That's what I'm saying. And then you go, oh, okay, this is so easy. Like, but it was so funny. Like the worry and most guys probably aren't like that, but the worry that went into that first sexual experience, like I was just, and then I remember it was like the Chevrolet and like it was like a tattered back seat. And I remember like the
this
stuffing.
Is so romantic already.
Right, the stuffing of the car was coming out on my knees. And like, I remember like a piece of like car stuffing like was attached to my hip. So when I took off my
beautiful
pants,
story.
I came in and my dad was up like, what, hey son. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if he saw that I just lost my virginity. Like, I wonder if he was like, who the fuck is that man coming into this house? And
the smell of mildew from the car. It all blended together.
Oh my God. And then I bought her flowers the next day, but
God.
Yeah. And then you
are romantic.
She was not into it. She wasn't. I thought I was in love, and then it was just
Ryan, bad. Don't you know the way to get a girl into you is to ignore her?
No, I do. That is, I have so many friends that are girls, and that really does seem to work. Like, if you treat a girl like shit, they really seem to respond to that.
I'm that girl.
Well.
I'm that girl.
But I was always the guy that was like, I don't understand. Like, do you realize they're treating you like shit? Like, do you like? So you like that? And I could never bring myself to do it because I would try to be mean, and then I would feel bad like an hour later. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, if you can gaslight me and make me feel super special one night, and then text me, and then you can gaslight the shit out of me, love bomb me, or at least affection bomb me the second date, never speak to me again for like 4 weeks, you're going to be so up in my fucking head.
Yeah, that's the love of your life.
You're going to live rent-free. I've already pictured us and our 2 French bulldogs. That's how. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but that it used to be the way. All you had to do was ignore me, and then I was just like, and now it's to a thing of I want to be with someone who I can have a good time with, who I feel like I'm on a level playing field with, and I always tell people now, people who are dating, I'm like, here's the thing. Find someone you can tolerate. That's someone you can spend time together, tolerate. But I say on the podcast all the time, the Notebook isn't real. The romantic fantasy isn't real.
And by the way, I love that I'll say that defensively. Like, movie love doesn't exist. You know that, right? Like, I'll always be defensive about it. Like,
I kind of want it.
No, of course. Like, I grew up on Say Anything of John Cusack with a boombox over his head. Like, I grew up on movie love and TV love. Ross and Rachel from Friends, or I grew up on these things. And unfortunately, life is sometimes like, I remember going on a dating app for the first time, and I said what I did. I was like podcasting at the time, but she was like, "Oh, let me listen." And I was like, "Oh, no. Because I'm just really silly and goofy on the podcast, and I'm talking about shit that most guys don't talk about, you know,
right.
So she's like, "Oh, I found it," and the next day she was like, "I listened to your podcast," and like, I'm like, "Oh, cool, you're still talking to me." Shit you not, she unmatched with me. So, hey guys, please check out the pod if you're ever and I was like, and I took that personally. Like, by the way, that still flashes in my head of like, wow, like what episode was it? What did I do? You know,
people ask me when I say I'm a podcaster, they're like, what's the name of your show? And I was like, This American Life. I'm like, you may have heard of it.
New York Times, The Daily.
Exactly. Sometimes I Armchair Expert. You may have heard of it.
I know it's just so like there's no way to present myself as cool when I say I would almost be better off just saying I'm an actor and then just leaving it at that.
Oh, that's the worst thing to say. But you're right. People say, and I'm like, when I try to tell people what I do, they're like, "Oh, what do you podcast about?" I'm like, reality television.
Well, my parents, like they're like some of our friends listen to you, and I'm like, oh no, and I'll see them at like the holiday parties, and they'll always be like, hey, I listen to you, but it's never like I love it. It's always like I checked that out.
You should be ashamed of yourself, boy.
I'm doing you a favor by not telling your parents what you speak about.
My sister-in-law will listen sometimes. She's like, we listen to you guys sometimes. I'm like, really? And I think, did I say anything? I never really say anything bad about them, but I do my mother on the podcast. But my mother says, I don't have time to listen to a podcast. I'm very busy. But
my parents come on my podcast, and I've talked to my parents more honestly on their interviews on my podcast than I ever did in my entire life. Like the mic gave me the courage. I don't even know why. Like I found out about their first like sexual experience together. I bet, which was just horrifying. But like the mic turns on and you're able to just like all of a sudden like ask anything you want, and then the mic goes off, and then I'm back to awkwardly interacting with my parents.
That is so true, because we interviewed my mother for a podcast with Nikki Levy, Don't Tell My Mother. And my mother was supposed to tell. She kind of was playing a part, but she kind of wasn't super vulnerable. But like, and I felt like it was like a truth serum. And I think that's the thing about what people love about podcasts is when the microphone comes on, then it just becomes about you talking to someone else, and it's kind of hard to bullshit your way through things.
That's the most exciting part of the podcast. Yeah. That, like, I think it's like 6 months in. Also, I really started like, I know exactly who I'm speaking to. Like, totally. You really start to like actually know these people, and you're like, oh, I'm just really the big, I'm the one that's talking all the time in this group. Like I'm just the one monopolizing the conversation, but I know who I'm speaking to. Also, I made my mom read the WAP lyrics by Cardi B online. She was like, what does WAP mean? Like,
oh God, your poor mother.
Yeah, I know.
She just went, oh, I'm not going to do that.
She goes, Ryan.
You're like what's the one who always, was it Bam Margera's when he made his parents do things?
I hope I don't turn out like Bam.
Is he still is he dead? Is he still alive?
No. Like he tried to be in the new Jackass movie and they wouldn't let him until he got sober. So he's like suing all of them. But like, yeah, I grew up on Bam Margera. He would like run into his parents' room in the middle of the night with cameras.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I was like, that boy's going to go crazy one day. Whenever that's me as a child, but it's always in a voice like, "Hey boys, want to play something? Get away, faggot." We always say that we're gonna do a. Oh, sorry, I choked you. We always do a thing. There's always be a show called Little Poodle where I go, "Hey there, does anyone want to hear me talk about Alfred Lord Tennyson or something?" And people are like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, I'll just go read by myself again." Oh well.
By the way, like that really was my childhood in Kansas. I just read books in this one chair when I was a kid.
Ryan.
I remember my dad going, "Something's wrong with him, Becky. I used to play stickball outside," and like I would never go outside to play. I would just read books.
I was an indoor child, and then when I was forced to go outside, I would take a book with me.
Oh yeah, and I remember bringing in fifth grade. I had the hardcover version of It by Stephen King.
Of course,
and I remember being made fun of. Like it's like a 1,000-page book, and for some reason, I needed to bring it to school with me, and I would just get teased mercilessly for this.
I would read books. I've already talked about on the podcast how my mother would say, "Jaybird, do you read another book about the Holocaust? You read another book you get at the library?" She's like, "Maybe not this time." And she's like, "Oh, what is that one about? The Roanoke Colony?" Good Lord. What do you think? They just went away. That's all you need to think about. Uh, but I read books about like mysteries or horrible things to try to understand how the world. Like I've talked about this before. I was obsessed with why the Holocaust happened as a child when I found out what it was.
Normal childhood things,
but I kept reading books and books about it. And my mother's like, "That's it. No more books about the Holocaust, Jaybird. No more."
Oh, mine was nuclear war. Like I was fascinated with nuclear war, and I thought we were going to be in a nuclear winter at some point. And like this is like 4th or 5th grade, where I was like, I remember asking like my teacher, like, "What do we do if a nuclear bomb hits? Like, where
you're
do we
trying
go?"
to sort it out for yourself.
Yeah, I live in Kansas. Like, I'm like, what is? And I remember as a kid thinking like, Kansas is kind of the heart of America. It's like in the middle. It's like in the little middle right. And for like, I was like, if I would hit Kansas first. Like, so I always thought we were about to like get attacked at some point. I was just like a weird kid.
Little that you know, Kansas wasn't even on their radar.
No, that's the only time I did go outside, my mom had like a big witch's cape. And so this is like, I shit you not, like sixth or 7th grade, way too old to be doing this. I created like a superhero persona where I had like a whip, like a whip that I had gotten Silver Dollar City, witch's cape, a mask. And I would run around this place called the Trails in Kansas, like right by and I would like spy on like kids. And I thought I was like a superhero.
Sounds like a creeper. Yeah.
By the way, well, I only served like a minimal sentence for all of this, and it's like I'm good now. No, but it was like that was like to me being a superhero was like kind of like a job. Like I was like, if I work really hard, I could be a superhero. Like for me, it was like a job prospect.
Yeah. It's interesting what we now imagine what we did as kids and how everything kind of led here. And I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, I think there's waves of both. Like it's like a good wave. Yeah.
Y'all, speaking of waves and making waves, it is Summer House and it's back. We're in season 6. Where's my lover, boy? And y'all, we're meeting there's 2 new cast members. I assume Luke is going to join us sometime.
Yeah, Luke's in Minnesota. Yeah.
Minnesota. But we've got all the old reliables. We've got Kyle, who apparently is like 65 now. But
you can sense the tension in Kyle at all times.
Oh my! I think because even on Winter House, I feel like he didn't know how to relate because he wasn't king of the hill anymore. And he didn't know what his role was on the show.
He was getting rope-a-doped by Austin and Craig, and then when he went out in Winter House and saw like four people making out in the jacuzzi, he was like, I used to make out in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, and I find him interesting, but I'm more worried about, like I said on the previous episode, y'all, this became, the last 10 minutes became like a really scary, like Jenna Rollins film. or
under the influence,
very under, or like whatever happened, or not what happened. It's very Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf or something like. I'll tell you what, Richard, I'm gonna do this.
I'm sorry for having fun.
You what you are. Who does this? In what world do you break all my stuff? We're not going to any fucking therapy.
And then you see the polar opposite of Carl, 6 months sober, skin looking better than ever, just looks like a king. Like, I mean, Carl almost makes me want to get sober, you know?
Okay. Carl Radke, for me, will still be the hottest man on reality television. He is just there. Everything about him is a huge penis. And 3 balls, we already know.
Well, the 3 ball. See, I feel like we always skip past the 3 balls, but like, sit there and think about that. That's like I feel like that's a 90-day fact. He has 3 balls, you guys. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, let me just break it down. We usually have 2 balls. He has 3.
He's already a superior race.
Yeah, like that's 1 extra ball. And if you're a fan of Summer House, he also let a guy blow him once.
Yes, true.
Yeah,
and that keeps me going. When I'm having a bad night. But there's something about Carl that even when he's not looking bad or he's not looking his best, I'm just like, oh my God, I would beg for it from you.
Hey,
Like, come on,
wait. What would be the approach for Carl if you could just like get like one shot? Like what would
you know what
the
it would
pitch
be? It would be I'd have to establish something really flirty with him, and we both have to be drinking, obviously. But we would have to be flirty, and I'd get him very comfortable. This sounds really kind of gross.
Yeah. Have you poisoned him at this point? Has he got the
it sounds like then I'd roofie him, but no, I think you know what it would be. I think it would have to be have to be so non-sexual. We'd have to like talk all night, and we'd talk about our fears and our dreams. And then when I'd already decided this is not going to happen tonight, he would like take me in his arms and like just kind of kiss me, and then we would bang it out in his bed.
I love that what would the pit like what you have one shot, what would you do? Well, we would just talk normally and then he would kiss me. Like that you would like you're actually doing nothing. He just decides to kiss you at one point because
because he's really into me.
Yeah.
I think, but no, I know I trust my my charm and my kind of getting people to where I know how to get people's walls down. But I think exactly. I think it'd be harder because he does. It seems like he does prefer to sleep with women, but it may take a little time to make him thinking it's okay. I'm just a person. So that's where I would go.
Yeah, like you're like I'm more of like think of like Che Diaz and think of like just different kind of. But a
lot less annoying.
But I will say though, like last season, Carl started making his bed every morning and drinking. Like I started making my bed, but I was like, shit, that guy gets up. He's like, the first thing I do, I make my bed, and I'm like, I got to start making my bed. Like I want to be more like Carl. Like like I really admire that guy.
I think he's really changed his life around. I'm surprised he did this season. I guess it's more good stuff for Loverboy, obviously. But I think I love, and if you guys, spoiler alert, currently it has been confirmed that he and Lindsay are dating, which I don't know if
they're knocking boots.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because I love Hub House. I love Lindsay, but
one of my favorites.
She's truly reality TV gold. And when I first started watching Summer House, she annoyed the shit out of me. But she grew on me so quick. And I got Matt into the show too. And he's like, oh, I can't stand Lindsay. By episode 5, Lindsay was his favorite.
Dude, she was one of my favorite interviews I ever did because she got tipsy during it, and then I made her. She went and found the thing like last season. It was like her year and like her next couple of years, like married with babies. God, yes. She was like, "Oh, here you go," and she like held it up, and I was like, "Yeah!" I was so excited.
And I'm gonna get married, and then I'm gonna get activated. And she's just
with Carl, though, like I'm so happy that they found each other, or they're like deciding to really go for it. But it could either go so perfectly and amazingly, or it could go really badly. Like I mean, and I don't want to be negative, but like imagine Carl's totally sober, Lindsay has a couple drinks, gets loose. Like I don't know, I want to believe in everything, but. Like, just we've got to give it time,
Yeah, and to me, my first thought would be Carl's pretty new in his sobriety, and maybe dating someone like Lindsay who does like her drinking, and when she does drink, she gets a little wild. But I have hope, and I'm just glad that they're friends first.
Yeah,
and they do care very much for one another. So I feel like if they did break up in the future, they'd still remain friends. So
remember because they tried this a couple seasons ago, but like they never had sex. He just finger blasted her on the bed, and then they're like, "Did she do anything to you?" No. And like I was like, I always tried to. It was like it's like the little person from 90 Day. I was trying to imagine like, so what's that situation where Carl totally fingers her on a bed and then nothing happens for Carl?
What's the football plan? The football play schedule. Okay. I've been talking to straight men too long because that was a sports metaphor.
By the way, you're talking. I do not know sports at all, so that like totally fell on deaf ears. Yeah,
I said something like that to Mary Payne the other day, and she's like, "Don't know sports." And I was like, okay, good. So then we have a new Kyle and Amanda we talked about before. They've been engaged for going on 35 years now. But it's all the same usuals. We have Sierra, we have Paige, we have who else? Hub House, Lindsay, and Danielle. I'm still surprised Danielle wants to do this show. I feel
Danielle
like Danielle
is the most well-adjusted person, and that's why she gets very little screen time. Because Danielle, you have to have Danielle because Danielle was an ally to Hub House. Because last season you had the Paige, Hannah, Sierra,
yes,
potentially Amanda conclave. So Danielle is essential when Hubs was like by herself on an island.
You're exactly right.
But also I think people really genuinely do, because we do worry about these characters as they get older. So I found my place where at first I was kind of bored by Danielle the first couple of seasons. And now I'm kind of like, wow, look at her life. She's
look at her go.
She brought snacks for her bedroom. I watched it. She hid chips on her dresser, and I was like, yeah,
the old girl. She's got her acid reflux medicine. She's all good to go.
When the girl and the new people are like, what, Maya and Adam, the bodybuilder?
Maya and Alex. And
Andre, look at my huge dong in my boxer briefs. Hey,
now, I've got to say, it's interesting. I think he's a very attractive man, but his modeling.
That's kind of you.
I'm being generous here. He's okay. Someone I was talking about him being very good looking. When listeners sent me his modeling photos, holy shit, bitch knows how to take a picture,
dude. I even there's one shot that all my friends were all my girlfriends and guy friends were talking about was that one shot of him in his little underwear.
Yes.
And he's been out drinking all night. He has like a 30 pack and his little tiny, he's like, when I wear boxer briefs, he's wearing teeny tiny undies because he's got his huge junk around with 30 abs. Dick.
Yeah.
By the way, I would beg to be on a reality show if that was me. I would beg.
Yeah. I don't think there's that much to him. But I think he's a good time. But I do think we see later on, you guys, that he was really hurt by Paige saying, I'm not really ready to get in a relationship.
She hurt me. We see him crying to Luke Goldbrinson, who's not in this episode, but I can't wait for him to get there because he usually brings his guitar. And last season he was like,
oh God,
hair slick. He would sit, try to
we made up songs. We made up songs he would sing.
He came on the pod and I asked him to sing it on the pod. And then he was too shy. But then later he texted me. It was like, I'm actually recording that song, so I would love to give it to you when it's done. I was like, yes, man. But he's so good looking that people it's like that dirty Bobby guy from The Hills.
Justin Bobby.
I love it. It's like
of course I know. That was part of my sexual awakening.
I'm sure. But they've convinced him that he can sing, and I've seen his van, and it's
he cannot sing.
But that's but when you're that good looking, you probably think you can do anything because anything you do, people compliment.
Oh, the level of a straight white man who looks like that, there's no reason to form a personality.
No,
ever. Not
at all. So, by the way, when Luke is tapping trees for maple syrup, I'm like, good for you. You don't even have to do this.
No. What was he? Just not to ask too many questions. Was he putting on something, or was he super normal? Or almost too normal.
Putting on something
trying to was he feeling like he needed to put on an act?
No, I got the sense that he thinks of himself as a very deep person.
That's exactly what it feels like to me.
I think he was very shocked about the Hannah situation because I know women probably have thrown themselves at him, and he thought, well, we just kind of touched each other's privates. We didn't have sex. I'm a good guy. I think he was so surprised about all of the hate he got and stuff. So he's, I think, a little shell shocked. But overall, you could just see he seems just kind of like a good doofy guy, you know?
Yeah, and I think he's always trying. I think he really does want to be a deep person. I think he wants to be perceived as that. And he worked a little too hard at that for Winter House because it was and it's going to be interesting to see his dynamic on the show, especially with Andrea and the new guy who Alex, I don't even know enough about,
But he's
He's a
very like
fitness
he eats a lot of turkey, ground turkey,
2
like 2
pounds of ground
pounds.
turkey. Y'all, that house smells like protein farts.
Yeah.
And Maya, who I have high hopes for, she didn't get a lot of screen time, but
No.
she's single after being engaged for 5 years,
Yeah, 6
and
months single now.
yeah, 6 months single. Yo, this is not a good idea. After 6 months being 6 months being single after a 5-year engagement, you're gonna do. She's gonna go wild, or it's gonna make her want to run back to her fiance.
That's good though. I mean, but that should be, like, and that's what the producers think. It should be fascinating to watch,
Yeah.
with that kind of, because you potentially could get a call to the ex or a call from the ex, so she'll have
Ooh,
to cry
yes.
at some point about that. There's a lot of opportunities. And I think the Paige Sierra stuff, it cracks me up because there was a scene of them just in bed on their phones. And I'm
I
like,
love
wow.
them.
But I'm like, wow, like, not missing Hannah at all. Like
No.
Sierra is so in that Hannah role where she's in the same spot that Hannah would be in the bed with Paige, but it's Sierra
Flawlessly.
like
Those producers are like high-fiving each other
oh
because Hannah gave all of them so much trouble. We actually interviewed both of them. We talked to them, and Hannah had a really bad season last year.
yeah,
And
like a real, like, I mean, even I turned on Hannah because I had really liked
yeah,
Hannah before that.
we did that. We did too.
Yeah,
And
and I but that's what we saw. Like, I got to be honest about what I saw, and it was like she looked like she was trying to play, like she thought she was going to play people's in her favor. Like,
yeah,
it didn't seem that, and then all of a sudden she was like messing around with 3 other dudes too. So
yeah.
it kind of undercut her whole argument.
And that fiance of hers is a nightmare. Boy, you talk about someone who is number one is like isolating her from all of her friends. That's like a scary fiance. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, but she took it too far. Where if she had just started softening a little bit and the reunion, like, she would have been there and you would have seen a potential redemption season.
Yeah.
But she just went so hard, and then she started bad mouthing production.
Yeah. That we all know that is when you get the axe.
Yeah.
You can say the N-word all you want, all you want, as long as you go on Watch What Happens Live and apologize for it. And Andy Cohen says, yes, haven't we all learned? And then you're fine. But if you say one negative word about production or production making things up, you'll never see the light of day again on that show.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back to talk about what happened on this show and some more SLC or Salt Wives later. Okay, we are back. And y'all, apparently for Summer House, y'all, they're like, COVID's over!
Yeah, all of a sudden they're like, oh my, like, I saw a packed restaurant, and I love on TV now, I get scared when I see a packed anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I know they've all been tested and stuff, but like, what a wild thing. Because then I feel like they have to get tested every day just to go in and drink rosé in front of people,
Just to be able to shout "send it" in a restaurant, they have to be tested. So y'all, they're at dinner, and they're kind of getting to meet one another. And Alex wore his short-sleeved hoodie for the occasion.
Loves his guns.
I don't have a lot of high hopes for him.
Yeah, well, I just can't get a beat on his, like. But see, this is what I said this week. I said, there's got to be something a little dark with this guy, or he wouldn't be there in the first place.
True.
You know how they always save something, or in 90 Days is perfectly, where they're always like fifth episode. But what he doesn't know is, like, we don't know what we don't know yet. Like, there's got to be something with him, or he wouldn't have been chosen. So, like, I'm thinking he has like an anger issue, and we just don't see it yet.
Yeah.
There's got to be something. They wouldn't just put a bland person that works out a lot in the house.
I agree with you. It's not like Jessica from Below Deck or Jess from the Third Stew.
Yeah.
From this season, where we were like, why are you there?
Even she was just like, I woke up one morning and was like, I don't even know why I'm here. Yeah.
They're like, all of a sudden I was up on the boat, and someone told me to get a rag.
She's like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit,
Boy, poor Jess. So everyone is single besides Danielle, who is basically in this marriage with the guy we saw her with, Robert. and I'm happy for her. I last season when we never saw Danielle do anything but work, which I think we see. You said it before. Danielle's the most well-adjusted of them all, and she takes Lindsay's side when she needs to. And Danielle had more to say. It was that kind of young girls against the older, not old girls, older girls, like Lindsay and Danielle.
But what
And
reality star like goes to a summer house and like we really did just see her work all day, where it's like, I mean, like, I imagine her company, if they watch this, we're like, damn, we're proud of you, girl. Like,
I
because other than
know,
that, like, nobody, I mean, I would go on that house and just say, I'm just not going to work. Screw it. I quit, you know?
like Paige and Hannah would just like sit. They would do influencer shit down there by the pool.
Yeah, it was amazing. No, and I related to that, you know?
Yeah. That's what now I mean when I do work, it's like me sitting at my computer writing ads and recording stuff. I'm like, that's work. So they're basically talking to Lindsay, and I think Paige asks, so how's Jason? If you don't know who Jason was, you didn't watch Winter House, but Jason was the guy who was a model but didn't really have a personality until the last two episodes.
He cooked a lot in there, and he was like an overall good guy. Like he might be the male Danielle in some ways.
Kind of. That's a good way to put it. So that's why they're kind of drawn to people like that. But Lindsay was with Jason, and they got together at the end of Winter House, and they were dating off and on. We're going to talk about what happens after that in a little bit. I know, who knew Summer House never got this real this quick before.
And that's why I was like, all these shows are like, just what the biggest lesson you got to take away from these shows is don't get older. You know, like, seriously, just don't get older. And just like that, the Sex and the City, just don't get older. You won't have to deal with any of these issues if you don't get older.
Can you stop putting old people on television?
No, by the way, it's like, and just like that, it's scaring the shit out of me every week. Like it makes being old look like the saddest thing that you could ever possibly imagine, you know?
And I don't watch it. And I've said this before on the show. I've never seen a full episode of even the original Sex and the City as a gay man. Can you imagine? I know.
Are you sure you're gay though?
People have gasped like I was an actual man like animal hybrid, and I just showed them my like deer legs when I said that I had never seen an episode. And I think it's because I always hated I watched like a little bit of it, and like the Samantha puns really got on my nerves, and so it was just hard to stomach. And I was never a fan of I liked the Cynthia Nixon character, but I was just never a fan of the Sarah Jessica Parker character.
Well, she's gotten even worse. Like it's wild.
And then it was like too deep in, and I couldn't just start it like in season 3, and so I was like, I'll go and watch it again. But with the way and just like that has gotten, I'm like, I think I'm out.
But you know what? For some reason, like, it is what I look forward to now the most each week, because I immediately hate it so much. And I don't know when that changed with me or with all of us, where I now enjoy hating something just as much as I enjoy loving something. Like Lisa Rinna. I hate Lisa Rinna with a passion, with a white hot burning passion, but I need her on the show. I want to feel those feelings.
I think I've hate watched for as long as I've loved watched.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, it's so funny that I'm like, it's like, it's like when you taste something bad and you'd be like, this is horrible, taste this. And yes. Like, that's what I am with, like, I'll be like, oh my God, I hate this. I have to keep watching, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the way Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is for me, in a way, but especially now, because we hit that, we'll talk about this in a second, but we hit that height with the bus ride and the Charest. And now we're in this weird, let's scream at someone. Who's going to be the person Jen screams at this episode?
And the amazing thing about any of that is that she's in a cast full of people that let her do that.
Yes.
And then apologize to her for getting her screaming. Like, I'm so sorry you got so mad at me. Like, let's give you the big room in the house. Like, what is, like, I feel like I'm sometimes having a stroke when I watch Salt Lake, because I'm like, there's no way this is happening. Like, there's no way.
It's really a talent.
If you had a friend that got into your face like that even one time, you would seriously think I would be like, I'm a pussy, but I would like to think I would be like, get your finger out of my face, get it out of your face, like and I do not want to be around you. And like Lisa's like, oh, it's okay. You should get the big room. You deserve the big room.
Yeah. That's why I will never, and we'll talk about it in a second, but Meredith fell so far for me since the beginning of that. I always liked Meredith.
I thought Meredith was the chicest, coolest, like really pretty, and now I have a totally different viewpoint.
Yeah, it's yuck.
But that's the other thing. That's the other thing I love about all of reality shows is that we have to normalize loving somebody one season and hating them the next. You got to be okay with it. You know, it's not like sports where it's like that's my team through and through. Like, no, if somebody screws up on a reality show, you have every right to change your opinion each season.
Yeah, it's full on like Colosseum feeding Christians to the lions every time. I cry for their blood, and it's our basest instincts. So they're still out, and they're talking to Lindsay about Jason, and she tells Paige, she's like, is it kind of a thing where you don't want to have the first weekend, or you're really not really feeling him anymore? And she's like, a little bit of both. So,
because he's not there. Yeah.
So they're pushing her and saying, so Lindsay, Carl's like, so Lindsay, you want to be single? Is that what you're kind of telling me? She's like, fuck you, Carl.
Yeah. Why are you coming for me, Carl?
You don't want to activate me. I'm like, please activate her. My favorite moments of the show is when Lindsay gets activated.
They literally put up like demon eyes on her, and it was like, but like she really does turn just like that, and that's what we call range. Like that's range.
And it all seems. And the thing about Hub House is it is 100% authentic. We as watchers of this show, our bullshit meters are finely tuned. And every time for her, she is feeling those things. And the other thing I love about Lindsay is when she's trying to understand something, you literally see the gears turning in her brain. And she's like trying to understand it.
Well, it's like that show Lost where you get clues like along the way. But like the biggest clue I got last season was we found out she was in the ROTC. And I was like, oh my God. Lindsay's a soldier. Lindsay is a soldier. Like she started like hitting people with her shoulder in that one fight scene. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And the other thing I want to give credit to Lindsay, and I'm not even joking, is that Lindsay will give any guy a chance.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like I have a feeling Lindsay's going to hook up with the beefy one that eats a lot of hamburger meat. Yeah. Like I have a feeling because she wants to make it very clear to everybody, I'm dating, but I'm also single, and I want to have fun.
And this cooch is open for business.
That's what I like Jason. Jason was benefited from that in Winter House because Jason was the nice guy that Lindsay doesn't usually go for, but Lindsay will give any guy an opportunity.
And there's something beautiful about that.
I think, no joke, because I'm hoping to benefit from that one day with Lindsay. I do have a crush on Lindsay sometimes. Yeah,
I think she's very attractive, and we kind of put it out there that we thought we might want to interview her, and I'm thinking then she'd go back and listen to the show when we've said crazy things about her.
I recapped all of Summer House last season, and I got really scared about that. Like I get scared about that with anybody because I really say the truth. You know, I'm scared about like I don't want to ever speak to Noella on OC because I'm just going off on her every day now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's sometimes not worth it.
So you guys, she has this moment with Carl where she kind of screams at him, and everyone's like, oh, okay, we don't want to activate Lindsay, blah blah blah. So then we're going out to the club. It's party time.
Carl goes home like a pro, man.
That's right.
He goes home, gets ready for bed, and everybody else like, you know, and Lindsay goes home with them, but they don't even talk about it because Carl's like, I know enough not to talk about Lindsay, or, you know, it's not going to do any good now. And I was like, God, how amazing is Carl that he's not going to even fight with Lindsay until the next day because it's not worth it. But then the rest of them go out and party at the club.
Yeah, the rest of them are, and they're kind of trickling in, and everyone's home but Kyle, y'all. And if you know what happened, you know, I'm going to say it's 2 seasons ago when they showed that clip, he like cheated on Amanda when he was blackout drunk. And he said, and the excuse was, I didn't even know what I was doing. So
Tom Schwartz does this on Vanderpump Rules too, where he gets so shit canned. And I then had a theory that he was just getting that shit canned so he could cheat.
Just so he could cheat.
Like he's putting his body through like the most just so he can cheat on Katie, you know?
Oh God. They are everyone's, and of course Amanda's going crazy. And one of the things it's hard to be Amanda, because she's always the biggest adult in the house. She's always everyone's mom. She's always trying to referee fights between everyone. And so she has a big control issue with everybody in her life. And you saw her coming apart when she did not know where Kyle is. I guarantee you this happens a lot with them.
Well, she said when the girls were in her bed, when she had called him 27 times, she said, it was so bad a couple weeks ago, Kyle wouldn't come home and my mom called a car service to take me to her house in Jersey. Like, that's dark shit. Like, that is dark. If you're, and I want to know also, like, how did they end up leaving the club without Kyle in the first place?
It is weird. My friends would have said, we need to get Poodle because he's not going to go home with, he needs to, if Poodle's over in the corner making out with a Latin guy, nothing's going to go good. We need to go get him.
But like in reality shows, there should be rules where it's like, yo, dude, we have a house full of people you need to hang out with. Don't hang out with your like summer loving bros. Like, you know, it's like guys I've never even seen in those clips. And he's just drinking rosé by himself. I'm like, no, you go back to the house and you talk to the housemates. You don't say we have a show, baby. You know,
it is really misanthropic. It's weird to like leave the house behind. You're exactly right. And you guys, so Amanda's losing her mind. She's calling, and we find out this is I was at a loss. We find out that what you said before. It's like we find out that she said, "I'm thinking about if I call out the wedding because he can't control his drinking. He has to pay. We have a contract. He has to pay my parents back for every cent they spend." And you could see Sierra's face, like
in the night vision camera, you guys. Night vision.
Sierra went, "Fuck." Even
like,
Paige, who normally has a great poker face, went,
"Yeah,
that's bad."
And I hate it because, like, I like them. I don't want, but like,
they're the royal couple of the show.
I know, and that's like I interviewed them this past week, but I hadn't watched the episode yet.
Yeah.
So like I had seen the preview, and the preview is so dark for them anyways. So my first question was like, "Are you guys all right?" Like, because I know they got married, but the preview makes it look like it's the most intense season for them. And by the way, we haven't even seen half the stuff that they showed in the trailer with them breaking up. So I just get scared for them, you know.
I honestly, I was talking about this with a listener. I think this is a starter marriage for both of them, especially.
But it's like the show's involved now, and like all of their finances and businesses in the show now. And and Kyle, yo, dude, like you got to wake up. Like he heard all of those what's been said about him. Andy grilled him on Watch What Happens Live, because it's like, at this point, like if you're working that hard, you need to get that obliterated just to have fun. I mean, I love booze, but like that's an issue, you know?
It's now becoming, and this is whether it's not just, I'm not going to call anything an addiction where someone won't admit to it, but like it's a problem with alcohol at this point. So and it's to me, it would be getting Bravo PR involved, saying, do we need to send you to rehab, or so you need to, because this is endangering our investment in this, because right now you're getting married and you're couplehood.
Well, I asked him, I go, how are you keep drinking this much? I was like saying it in a nice way of like, you still like seem like you're in shape and all that, like, and you can wake up early. How
Right.
do you do that? And well, I've really started mainly just drinking Loverboy, and that kind of gives you a nice buzz, and it doesn't get you too whacked out. And I'm like, okay, so like you can just if you have
Not an addict
Loverboy,
at all.
you can keep drinking because it's Loverboy. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. He was able to plug his product as well.
Oh, I know. I thought it was kind of genius.
Yeah, I don't. Unless he really changes like a Carl change, I think it's hard because I think she needs way too much stability, and she needs to be able to. She needs someone she can put the pieces together and kind of mother, and he's good for that, but he freaks out about it too, and they're just so volatile. And
Yeah.
anyway, the next morning we have some. He does get home, by the way, like at 4 a.m. And
Well,
the
she's
three
also
girls.
thrown his bags out.
Yes, let's not forget about that. That is very George and Martha.
Yeah, she's broken his like DOP kit with all his like, and you hear glass breaking in the
Yeah.
bathroom. It was like amazing. Like, which by the way, I usually hate dramatic things like that, but it's like, fuck him. If he's done this before and she's called 27 times
Yeah.
and he's not answering his phone at all, like
It's awful.
you got to lay down the line, lay down the law.
If I was her friends, I would say we want you to want more from him. We do, because this is you need to ask for more. You can't be okay with this. Yeah.
My greedy head was like, you guys have got to make it because Hannah's rooting against you.
Oh, yeah,
Hannah's like, so like I want them to make it just to spite Hannah,
Can you imagine if they had a really public breakup and what Hannah would say?
She would love it. She would love it.
So the next morning, they're kind of still not talking with one another, and Alex, of course, cooks 2 pounds of ground turkey, and then
wait. Also, he comes back from the gym. He goes, "Oh, good, my ground turkey's still here." Like somebody was just going to eat his ground turkey.
So like, yeah, the other 8 of us had a teaspoonful, and there's still a pound for you. So we did find out that Carl's talking to Linz, and he's like, sorry about what happened. And he's like, are you okay? She's like, cried myself to sleep. But she's like, what happened with Jason is complicated. And she's like, remember when I said it was either the COVID vaccine or my hormones? I was pregnant. I went to the gynecologist. He said I was 6 weeks pregnant. She's like, but then the day after I had a miscarriage. And it's just like, I never thought I would see Lindsay having this storyline, and it kind of we're all of a sudden we're in 30 something.
Oh,
that's a dated reference, but oh my god!
No, I remember Michael and 30. Like it was very deep and it was very emotional because in a talking head she said, "Of course I would have kept the baby. I've wanted this forever. I just never thought it would happen for me." And it was like so real and so emotional. And she, said like got pregnant, but by the time like I even got used to that idea, the next day I was miscarrying. The next day I was in the emergency room, and Jason was so sweet and nice, but I couldn't be around him. I wanted to take care of myself. And I just thought like, wow, and she didn't want to involve Carl even.
No.
Because she said, I didn't want to put that on you and I wasn't ready. And I just thought, wow, that, we can make fun of Lindsay as, people can make fun of Lindsay, but that's a strong woman,
She is.
That's really strong.
And if you know how Lindsay grew up, Lindsay's mom left when she was very young. And she's talked about it on the show all the time. So she's got major abandonment issues. And Lindsay's a successful person who's come through all that. Yes, she's a little crazy at times, and she's a little clingy.
Yeah.
But she's great reality TV.
She really is. And I'm proud to like her because she then does have these moments like this. Yeah. And it gives it that foundation for us to actually like her for the right reasons.
Right. So, and we end with a scream fight between that gives everyone in the cast a little bit of side eye when they're saying, you stay out one night, and he's like, I'm sick and tired, Amanda, of you not blah, blah, blah. And And it's so funny because Kyle normally he speaks in a tenor, kind of high voice up here. And he's like, I'm sick and tired of you.
Yeah, I fucked up, Amanda. I had fun.
So y'all, that's Summer House. I have high hopes for a good season. But again, I had high hopes last season. It was shitty.
Did you? I loved last season for some reason. I thought it was the best COVID season of any Bravo show.
That's a great way to think about it, because I just think it did not compare to previous Summer House seasons.
For me, it was like you had the sandwiches from Lindsay.
That's
true.
Her
being crazy. You had Luke playing guitar in his undies, just like randomly. You had the Hannah shit going crazy every week. I thought there was always something just so idiotic. That scene where Carl did start drinking after his brother died. For me, it hit like a lot of buttons for me. But just in terms of COVID, I was like, finally a show that's kind of figured it out where they just trap him in a house, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk just a minute. A soup song of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with this episode. So, Salt Wives. So we had the great arrest, the bus trip, and the bus freak out. Now we have another bus trip, and my question is, why are any of these women riding the bus anymore?
Well, I mean, two of them aren't. Like, I love that Mary's like, I will not ride the bus anymore. Like, even Mary's like, I'm out. But I will say it's like an amazing thing where I just imagine these producers are winking at themselves every time they agree to go in one of these things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got high altitude. You got them just like Summer House. They're trapped in this Sprinter van. They're trapped. They got to face each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish they would just do a whole season in a Sprinter van at some point. Like, I mean, because... by the way, I said this in there. I want unedited footage. I'll pay $20 extra a month. Just give me all the van footage and let me make the show I want to make with it. But like, why wouldn't I just want to see even the boring stuff of them just like looking out into the distance. Like, I want all of it.
Of Jenny opening another bag of Funyuns.
She loves snacks, Jenny. Like, you could say a lot of things about Jenny, but she loves her snacks.
That's true. But it was interesting. This was another episode where it was Jen screaming at Mary instead of Lisa, which was a little bit in the beginning of the episode. But was there anyone? And this was the first time that Mary kind of got let off the hook in a while.
Yeah, because I mean, they kind of dealt with her a second with Whitney at the last dinner table,
right.
But like for the most part, it was like Jen came in so hot, with the Meredith stuff, and like it was very interesting. It was one of those things. It was like a game of Clue, or just like everybody's a character, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who to be mad at. Like everybody's kind of gross in a certain way, you know.
And that's very true, and that's to me. We don't watch a lot of the Housewives shows because they're having so many seasons, but we kind of started with watching this because I liked this Housewives iteration because everyone was so different, and you had people who were great, like Heather and Whitney to an extent. Whitney is kind of getting mired in with it too now. But is that we always do her baby voice?
I like spiritual things.
Yeah, we're gonna everyone be in a circle.
I do like the fact that she really did I want to share this with everybody. And like Meredith is just like she's all like pilled out and can't get dressed in time. Like I love the fact that she really like wants to get like, I want to share this special part of my life. And Mary's like, girl, no thank you.
I'm going to be there later. I've taken 2 benzos.
I mean, really, I feel like I would see Meredith like nodding off at some point, you know?
Yeah, she's on something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. Maybe it's Xanax. Maybe she's born with it.
It's becoming so apparent though that like it is, and the whole family is like that. The whole family kind of like, and then there's creepy Uncle Fingers Seth. That he's always like, I love titties.
So fucking gross.
Right? Like I try to I just don't. He's so weird, and now he's like so comfortable being like, he's like, I'd love to fuck your wife. Like, and like everyone's like, Seth is so funny.
Fat. You have to say it. Fat. the way she does. Sa.
And then last season, he was always like, I want you to come to Canton, Ohio. Canton, Ohio.
Okay. For the number one, she was definitely probably banging some other people, as Jen says. How many escorts was Seth banging on the road?
When we saw that picture of him, like that little thirst shot on his birthday cake, and I was like, he'd like shaved chest, and I'm like, that's fucking sad, man. No. Like you're trying to go with a young crowd.
He was on fucking Ashley Madison and shit. He is that person. He's gross. But
he's the Salt Lake Joey Gorga.
He is. Did you hear after the screaming match, and we finally get Jen? Of course, gets around. She's like, "But your son said something about my vagina," and I'm like, "Oh my god, we cannot be back with this."
I mean, like I've heard about Jen. I've heard more about Jen Shah's vagina moment than any other vagina in my life, and I was married. You know, like I've heard it so. Like I get shocked when it gets brought up still.
I must say, when they said it, I went, someone had to, no, we can't still be doing this. We can't still be doing this.
Well, and then because we actually have real things to discuss, and we're still talking about a vagina flash. She makes the Beverly Hills Housewives look like they grilled Erica last season, which they didn't. Yeah. But these ladies don't even have, they're like, well, I guess it was a weird coincidence. Okay. Well, anyways, you get the big room, Jen. Sorry about everything.
Yeah,
you're going through. They just let it go. They let it go, and they fight about stupid shit.
It's a shame because I thought the first season of this show was great. And I was really looking forward to them. And they've got, I want to say they've got maybe 4 episodes before the finale or the tell-all. Maybe 3.
It feels like it's been a long time.
And then it's a 4-part tell-all. So, really? We got another 4-part tell-all with no Mary.
They gotta do 2 parts a week. I can't have these take a month of my life for these reunions. It's like Beverly Hills almost killed me. It was like a month to get through the reunions. Then they need a reunion of the reunion because we've like spent a whole month on the reunion.
I don't do the reunions. I kind of read recaps for them, and then I just watch the looks. So Meredith will have on some kind of, she'll murder an Elmo to make her outfit this time, and everyone's already shown their outfits, and
Meredith got universally hated. Like I'm not into, like I don't know fashion from, like I'm an Old Navy man, but like Meredith is. Like got ripped to shreds for her outfit, which Brooks Marks picked out.
Yes.
And I just I wonder how cognizant Meredith is of like what people say, you know?
I don't think she does. And also don't hate on Old Navy because it is delicious. It is a wonderful fashion. I love a good Old Navy shirt.
Old Navy. And I'll even go to the website and see what they put the models in, and I'll buy the whole outfit because I have that little imagination.
I'm fine with that. So I'm excited to see what's the rest of the season. I want to talk about one thing that you also specialize in. What pop culture thing? Because you talk about it on your show. What pop culture moment lives rent free in your head right now that plays over and over again? That's happened this last week or so.
Okay, so and this is in a hate watch memory now. Is that Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox getting engaged under a banyan tree? It's so tree. I took her to a banyan tree that we first saw, a banyan tree, and then Megan posting it and ending it with, and then we drank each other's blood.
And then we drank each other's blood.
And then oh, you're so hardcore, girl. And then seeing the video that takes place from like 30 different angles, and he was like, yeah, it was just us up here. I'm like, who? It's like when Love After Lockup, they've sent like a 1-person camera crew, so they're like telling cut and then like making the poor Love After Lockup act like who don't know how to act, and they're like, I just got to move the angle over here to see you coming out. Like it is so ridiculous. These guys, I will rage against them forever because this is not rock and roll. This is sad. This is so sad. It's like she wore a shirt that said sex the other day, and I'm like, ooh, do you think they're having sex? Like it is so dumb.
That is so exactly what they're trying to be. They're trying to be rock and roll. Everything has a picture with him going with his tongue out, and I want to fucking cut it off.
Well,
Maybe do we sound like old people?
well, yeah, 100%. But also, I'm not even talking about his music. I'm talking about what, like, they show up to an opening of an envelope. They'll go to anything and they'll dress
they
like
will.
a couple. Like, so it's not like they're courting this press. Like the way he was giving out press interviews about the ring. I'm like, yo, you're like, you want this, you want this attention. It's so bizarre,
It's like,
and it's all well, and also like I love Megan Fox in the one little vampire movie that she did that Diablo Cody wrote.
Yes,
Jennifer's Body. I love
Jennifer's
that.
Body.
But at the end of the day, guys, she's the girl from Transformers. So we're gonna really let like, oh, that girl from Transformers is running the scene on romance and cool. Like, no, it's the girl from Transformers, guys. Let's calm down. And also, we've seen how this ends with people like Machine Gun Kelly. We've seen Vanilla Ice. We've seen they don't have the. I mean, and by the way,
no longevity.
I'm wrong. But like, think about pop culture. It always goes circular. Like, there's also arguments that you say Pam and Tommy Lee, but Pam and Tommy Lee, to their credit, which I can't even believe I'm standing up for them, like Tommy Lee literally did not give a fuck. Like he was just like, fuck, I just want to get my dick sucked, you know?
And it was that idea of they were just unapologetic themselves and they were doing things. This feels like this is clout. This is, I want to chase the press. You're 100% right.
I would predict in the next year, we'll get some kind of, I don't know about a full sex tape leak, but we will get some kind of something with nudity in the both of them.
Yeah.
And it will be released from a third party source. Like, it's the same playbook, and that's unfortunately why the Kardashians are still as big and important as they are, is because
they were smarter about it though.
They're the one running all the moves on pop culture. They're the ones and like now they've like managed to get politics involved, NBA superstars, football players, musicians. Like they have every corner of the market of any market covered by just the family itself and who they date.
Kris Jenner is the savviest person alive.
She is, but I think it's just weird because we've never experienced like this in the day and age with social media. So I don't even know what happens from here. Like, I don't even know when, but like at the same time, are we going to really have to tell Khloe she looks fierce for the rest of her life? Like, do we have to really, girl, you look fierce? And like it's like even Meredith Marks, like she posted I do a Facetune Bureau of Investigation on the show because she does a face where it looks like her daughter's face. She like Facetunes it that hard. And I just said at a certain point, you got to put like advisories on these things because like some of the best people in art are working right now and it's just on Khloe's photos. This isn't Khloe, like this isn't Khloe, and we've got to like stop encouraging shit,
it's
but
making
also I'm a dude, I don't know, like
it's making Instagram culture like that is making young women get eating disorders.
I say that all the time. I have an 11-year-old niece, and my 11-year-old niece is not allowed on Instagram, but I'm scared of the day when she will be allowed on Instagram. You know,
nice way to end our show.
Sorry, you guys don't know. Wait. Also, Jen Shaw is guilty. Do not let. Real quick.
Jen Shaw is guilty.
Jen Shaw, though, she's literally distracting at every moment, you guys. She'll bring up her vagina just so she doesn't have to talk about the actual case. Like She's got these ladies. Like, she knows that Meredith and Mary don't have anything to do with this, you guys. No. She knows it, but she is a desperate animal clawing any way she can to get out of this thing, and I think it's kind of working. FYI.
It is, and after the show ends, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Shop's airing anyway. Y'all, this is Brian. Thank you so much for doing a Bravo blowjob with me.
My God, anytime. This was really, I hate the reason why I'm here, but it's such an honor because you guys really are amazing. And the audience, thank you for putting up with me for 2 episodes. I really appreciate it.
Of course. We loved, I loved having you. We, the royal we. Y'all, y'all check us out on Instagram at Reality Gaze Podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Reality Gaze Pod. Where can they find you, Ryan Bailey?
So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey on Instagram, Ryan Bailey 25 on Twitter, and the podcast is just So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. It's on all the podcasting outlets, and you don't have to listen to all of them. Just pick a guest you like or a pop culture roundup and just give it a shot.
Lovely. Don't listen to Ryan Bailey. One other thing, we got live shows coming up the 28th and 29th of this month in New York City.
Get a rope.
Exactly. And y'all, the tickets are still available for Saturday and Friday. We have lots of tickets available. So we're also doing the Crappies Watch What Crappens Awards on Thursday with Ben and Ronnie. That's available either virtually or also in New York City. So get those there. Ryan Bailey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.